Welcome to the Andrew Collette Show. Today we're going to be going over a Pokemon that a lot of people were scared of coming back from the Crown Tundra DLC, and that is Landorus. Now Landorus has two different forms, the Incarnate form and the Therian form. We're going to be going over more sets with the Therian form just because there's so many ways to go throughout that, and the Incarnate form is not as good in VGC doubles, but we'll still go over sets for both. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, give the video a like or dislike, follow me on Twitch, the link to that is in the description below. Let me know in the comments if you're sick of seeing Landorus already, and let's get into it. As you can see with Landorus History in the VGC World Championships, it's sometimes here, it's sometimes not, and that's because it's not usually legal the first year when games come out. Like just for example, Pokemon Sword and Shield this year, it wasn't in the game until later on. But as you can see, when it is in the game and it is legal, it makes a huge presence. In 2013, it was on 4 of the top 8 teams. In 2015, it was on all 8 of the top 8 teams. And in 2018, it was on 6 of the top 8 teams. Landorus has great typing with ground and flying. As you can see, it's immune to ground and electric, so you can definitely make some good switch calls there. Or maybe if one of your other Pokemon are about to get hit by a hard move with one of those, you can switch in Landorus, and then guess what? They waste their Dynamax move if it was an electric or ground attack. You're also resistant to fighting, poison, and bug. You are weak to water and ice. It's nice that you only have 2 weaknesses, but man, ice is going to kill you, so you got to be careful for that. When you look at their stats, they actually have really good offensive power, especially the Therian form with already a base 145 attack power. As you can see, both have respectable speed tiers. Obviously, the Incarnate form is better, but the Therian form 91 still is pretty good, especially when you put a Choice Scarf on it. As far as their abilities go, Intimidate is arguably the best ability in the game. That is why Landorus is so relevant, but that is only exclusive to the Therian form. With the Incarnate form's abilities, Sand Force and Sheer Force, Sand Force boosts ground, rock, and steel type attacks when there is a sandstorm, and Sheer Force boosts attacks that have a secondary effect, but it just gets rid of the secondary effect. Like for example, you could do Rock Slide, and it has a secondary effect of flinch, but with Sheer Force, it won't flinch. Instead, it will just give it a 30% power boost. Now, as we talked about earlier with Landorus getting Intimidate, a lot of people just slap it on their teams because it has that great typing and is great to intimidate opposing physical attack mons. But if you want to cater around Landorus, there are some specific things you can do to help out Landorus, such as a non-grassy terrain partner. Now, why I say this is Earthquake is the best physical ground attack Landorus gets, and with grassy terrain up, your Earthquake will be doing less damage. So if you can get a Pokemon that can change the terrain from grassy terrain, just to make sure your Earthquake doesn't weaken. Like if you've been on the ladder at all, you know Tapu Fini and Landorus are very popular together on teams. Then to the right of that, you can see Levitate and Flying types. Similar with Earthquake, Earthquake's going to hurt your partner, so just being able to attack your opponents with a powerful Earthquake and your partner not having to protect is pretty powerful synergy. And of course, we want to go over the 2 weaknesses Landorus has. You want to make sure you have a water counter, especially with Tapu Fini everywhere. It's important to have someone that can counter Tapu Fini. And of course, ice isn't as popular of a type, but a lot of Pokemon are running like Ice Punch or Ice Beam just to counter Landorus, so it's good to have ice counters too, just in case. Now this first set with Landorus, I'm going to say is probably the most popular one, and this has been used in multiple formats in the past. And the reason that speed is important in this set is so popular is Landorus is not really known to be that great of a Dynamax Pokemon. Yeah, it can Dynamax, yeah, it can do damage, but the point with Landorus is just to be annoying and get as many Intimidates off as you can. Like if you U-turn, go back, switch it out again, get an Intimidate on your opponents, or you can maybe just stay out there, get a good Rock Slide, Earthquake, Superpower, and then switch out later. Some people run Fly with their Choice Scarf. The reason I didn't put it on here is Choice Scarf, you don't usually want to Dynamax it, but if for some reason your team needs it to Dynamax sometimes because you're stuck in a move with Choice Scarf, and then a Max Airstream can help even boost your speed even further. Another item choice also is Choice Span, just get maximum power. However, once again, I do want to stress this is possibly the best Landorus set and has been used in the past, even these simple EV spreads of 252, 252. I guess if you want a little something more spicier with the EV spreads, you could go with this. This is actually used by a recent tournament winner named JoeUX9. He didn't build the bulk around anything specifically, he was just using the EV spreads to their fullest potential. He increased the attack stat all the way to 196, and now what happened there was if you took 8 EVs away, then it would be 207, so there was a bump from 207 to 209, so he got the most out of his attack EV spread. Then he put a little in defense, then he put a little more in special defense to get to that 103 prime number for good damage rolls, and then you put the rest in HP. So this Landorus is not as powerful as the previous one, but it can live a little more. There's not specific calculations for it, so it just depends on what you want. Honestly, don't be afraid to use the basic 252 spread. Now, if you want your Landorus to be the Dynamax star of your team, you could go Life Orb. This time, instead of Superpower and U-Turn, we put in Fly and Protect. Protect for obvious reasons. Fly because if you're Dynamaxing this Pokemon a lot, you do want that speed when you need it, and you can also even help your partner with speed. Since you're not Choice Scarf, we did switch to Jolly Nature this time. And then we got some different move options if you want, such as Superpower, U-Turn, and even Swords Dance I've seen on some, because since Landorus is a popular Pokemon along with Incineroar, your attack is probably going to be weakened a lot, so maybe you want a Swords Dance before you get the Dynamax up. Another item, this is definitely not as popular, but Lumberry is important. The reason it's not as popular is because Landorus runs Tapu Fini as a partner a lot, so you're not afraid of getting put to sleep. But let's say you're afraid of getting put to sleep or getting burned for whatever reason, you can put Lumberry on to make sure Landorus doesn't get slowed down. And I'd say the third most popular item on Landorus is the Assault Vest, and this is to make Landorus stick around as much as possible. Similar to the Choice Scarf set, this one doesn't have as much speed, but we're going to put the Jolly Nature on it to make up for that. And as you can see, we put a lot more bulk in the HP, just a little bit into the attack, and we put the 4 defense and 20 special defense in there. I really like to play Assault Vest Landorus as more of a supportive Landorus, and depending on my team, I could switch some of these up. I do like to put Fly in there because Assault Vest Landorus is more flexible with the Dynamaxing. However, I try not to, but if I have to, I have that speed control there. But if you find yourself not doing that a lot, Fly is probably not the best move to get stuck into, so I'd suggest switching to something like Rock Tomb or Bulldoze, so that way you can slow down your opponents. Even Hammer Arm is a fighting attack that can slow down your opponents. So this moveset's very flexible. The main one you want to look at is, if you're not Dynamaxing this guy at all, you gotta take off Fly and put in a different move for it. Otherwise, you want to just keep on U-turning and tank as much as you can. Now, you don't even need to have those EV spreads. Those are just some EV spreads I came up with. There's seriously nothing wrong with going with another simple spread for the Assault Vest. You're still gonna tank a lot. If you even just want to just make sure you don't die to Ice types, you can even put Yachi Berry on your Landorus just to tank at least one of those hits. But seriously, I want to stress one more time, like the EV spreads can go different ways with Landorus, but in the past we've seen 252 EV spreads work out just fine on like a top level. So don't be intimidated by EV spreads. This works just as well if you want to put an Assault Vest on. Now into our damage calculations, we're going to go over 4 popular Pokemon that are very relevant against Landorus. Tapu Fini, of course. Now if we do the Life Orb Dynamax way, you're not going to quite take out the average Tapu Fini, but you're going to get close. Just something to be aware of. A lot of Tapu Finis like to run a little more power, so as you can see, even if we took off maybe all that special attack, you're not going to be living an Ice Beam. If you Dynamax, you're going to live the Ice Beam, but if they Dynamax too, you're not going to live a max Hailstorm. Now let's say you have the Assault Vest. With the EV spread I have, you will live an Ice Beam with the Assault Vest, but more importantly, if they for some reason decide to Dynamax into Max Geyser and you got to switch in, you're going to live a Max Geyser from a lot of Tapu Finis. If it Calm Minds first, don't plan on living it, but it's just an interesting way to look at it. The next one is Incineroar. Now you may be thinking, Incineroar's not that big of a powerhouse, like are we scared of him? Not really, but there's going to be times when you are going to be just intimidating each other, and then you're going to eventually have to attack each other sometimes. So if they intimidate you and you have the Life Orb Hyper Offensive Landorus, you actually take out most Incineroars with your Max Quake, even after an Intimidate. But a lot of the time, if you're playing the popular Choice Scarf set, that's not going to be happening a lot. As you can see, an Earthquake after an Intimidate against a bulky Incineroar, it's going to take you 4 hits to KO it. And you may intimidate the Incineroar also, and they may be attacking you with Darkest Lariat, and it's going to take about 4 hits to KO you too. So you just got to be aware of that this matchup is kind of even. If they don't have a non-Flare Blitz move though, you'll probably win it because Flare Blitz will hurt them. Metagross. Now this is one you got to be careful around because Metagrosses carry weakness policy. Not all of them, but you got to play around that. So if they have not Dynamax yet, like you predict the switch in, or they've already used their Dynamax, with your Life Orb Hyper Offensive Landorus, you can one-hit KO it with Max Quake, even if it's 252 HP. However, if they're Dynamaxed, you can see you're not going to be taking it out. It's a 2-hit KO. So maybe if you can weaken it somehow first with a different attack, and then hit it with the Max Quake, you're going to do a lot of damage. A lot of Metagrosses do carry Ice Punch just for Landorus, so they can one-hit KO you. If you're Dynamax, you'll obviously survive it, but they are probably going to Dynamax Enter Metagross and max Hailstorm you, and there's no way you're going to live that. I even put the bulk investment on there too. Even with that bulk, a physical ice attack is just really going to kill you, especially since you can't intimidate Metagross. Maybe if it was someone else, but Metagross has clear body, so you can't lower its stats. And then if you just have the regular Earthquake against regular Metagross, you'll take it out in 2 hits. Once again, you just want to play carefully, maybe find out it has weakness policy, or maybe you weaken it and then hit it with an Earthquake. Then the last Pokemon we're going to be going over is Cortana. Now Cortana, the reason I'm bringing this one up, a lot of players build around Landorus, whether that's speed or attack, so you got to be careful with Cortanas. If you use your hyper offensive Life Orb Landorus, you have a 50% chance to KO a non-bulky Cortana. A lot of Cortanas like to be bulky though, so even that you want to be careful. Now you're going to intimidate that Cortana most of the time. If they Dynamax and max Overgrowth you are going to live non-Dynamax, just 4 HP investment. But it's crazy how not even being Dynamax hardly changes the situation. With just a regular Leaf Blade, they have a smaller chance to 2-hit KO you. But my point with this is you just want to be careful with Cortana. Like maybe get another Intimidate, or you turn out there and get a second Intimidate on them. Especially if they have already killed someone, then they get a Beast Boost and they're already going to be steamrolling. And as far as your offense goes, if you're the Choice Scarf set, Earthquake is probably your best move. If you have Superpower, that's even better. Actually, yeah, let's add Superpower in there. All right, there we go. We added Superpower on there. We have a high chance to KO it if it has no investment. However, a lot of Cortanas are going to have a lot of investment, so you do have to consider that. If you are struggling with your team dealing with Cortana, maybe adding Superpower into your Landorus is the way to go. All right, and we are not done with Landorus. We have to go over the Incarnate form. Now, I only have one set here for you. It's definitely not as popular in VGC, but let's see what we can make out of it. I recommend the ability Sheer Force. You do have Sand Force, but that means you have to get the Sandstorm up, while Sheer Force is going to work 100% of the time. However, you have to remember with Sheer Force is that it will not work when you Dynamax. So I repeat, if you Dynamax, your Sheer Force boost will stop working. We're going to go special here just because all of these have secondary effects that will be canceled for that 30% boost. So we'll have Earth Power, we'll have Sludge Bomb for the annoying fairies like Tapu Fini, and even Focus Blast. We go the Timid Nature because that speed is very important to us. Like the point with this is you want to be faster than others. You could go Modest, and if you do, I'd recommend the item Choice Scarf. People have run that in the past. But then if you put Choice Scarf on, you lose the power of Life Orb, and something cool about Sheer Force is Life Orb will not damage you. You just get the boost off it, and then the secondary effect of it taking 10% of your health is not going to happen. Other attacks you could use are Psychic, Weather Ball, or Rock Slide. I know Rock Slide's physical, but that's mainly for like flinches, so like maybe if you're kind of useless against their Pokemon, you can at least try to flinch them for your partner. As far as partners go, I recommend a Helping Hand partner. Like you just want to do as much damage as you can, and if you can get a good Helping Hand in there, you're going to be just doing more. And if you can get that Helping Hand Pokemon to have speed control, like Whimsicott can do Tailwind, or Cresselia can do Icy Wind, because the point with Landorus Incarnate is you want to move fast and hit hard, and speed control is important with that. Just going to go over one Pokemon to calculate, because this is one that you want to hurt hard, but it can also hurt you. Obviously, if they're going to Ice Beam, you're not going to live it. But let's look at our Life Orb Sheer Force Sludge Bomb. For most Tapu Finis, they will not die, but it'll get close. But if you get a Helping Hand with that, look at that. You're going to one-hit KO it. Now, you got to be careful. Like, Tapu Finis like to run Calm Mind. So if they get a Calm Mind up, they're probably going to survive. But kind of cool that you can take out Tapu Fini in one shot, which a lot of us would like to do. All right, that concludes the video for today. Once again, let me know what you think of Landorus. Subscribe to the channel, like or dislike the video. Follow me over on Twitch in the description below. I hope to see all of you in the future. I'll put more guides for Crown Tundra Pokemon, and you all have a good one. Thanks.